About the meditation we just had, the seeing through the heart, I would like to share my experience, and also, I would like to know more about it. I also have a question about it. So, from the moment we drop down more into the heart, and well, you invited to I cannot repeat the words, but to start to see from there, and put it that way. I could feel like a strong shift, and like the background itself started moving, and that I became that background. And instantly my breathing dropped very low, very small in, very small out. My attention kept going to the breathing and back to the perceiving. But I kept my attention in the perceiving, and I started to feel that awareness was like separating, just like leaving the world. And I just tried, because my attention kept also going back and forth between perceiving and the world. But just that strong feeling also to stay with the awareness and to loosen up that identification. But I cannot say so many things about it. It was a very profound feeling. A very different sense of a transcendent state, or I don't know if I can really call it a transcendent state. But it's much different than when we sit here in meditation, and like in the beginning we always go to a transcendent state before giving it to Shakti. It's like almost a different world. So samadhi is samadhi, of course, there's no, but I know there are different states of samadhi. So my main question is, can you maybe give something more of feeling about this meditation, or expand on it, and also like the different state of transcendence that I might have experienced there?
When I went on the road and we had our first like a tour in the States, throughout California, mainly Bay Area down to LA, like different areas of the Greater Bay Area. It was organized by the Open Circle, this organization which has been found in the 90s with the popularity of the New Advaita and non-duality. So it's a whole organization. They primarily focused around hosting different teachers, and they have venues in Sonoma, in Marine, in Berkeley, right? And every area they have, like Palo Alto. Yeah, Palo Alto, closer to the Silicon Valley. And so there were like series of, they call it satsangs, right? Series of satsangs, series of gatherings were laid out, and workshops as well. I was asked by the organizers, James Haig, who was a, you've met Karen, haven't you? Yeah, Karen Miller, an old friend of Karen Miller from the days of being with Adidas Samraj. So he particularly wanted me to do workshops. Like usually they just, like I was a new teacher, I was a new kid on the block, and it's the best way to introduce is just, you know, one evening talk here, then, you know, it's like lots of driving. You know. But he said, I'd like you to do workshops, because I think just you coming and talking, and of course coming and talking, there is this few notorious gatherings that are out there available. Like one of them is entitled Shakti, right? And in 5 or 6 series. But he said this, for people to really, really test this, something else needed. So let's do the workshops, like a day workshops. Just one day, see? Like weekend, like already too much asking from people's commitment. You know, even 2 days, you can't ask these people, you know? So, but one gathering, 2-3 hours, not enough. So let's do this one day longs, right? Morning, it starts in the morning, then we do some work, and then break for lunch, and we come back and do some more work, and that's it, day-long workshop. So I was thinking, what can I bring into the day, you know, that is, and by then already I've done series of talks. Talks. In the crowd, it's like you come and it's just another teacher come, you know? I even joked, it's like Californians, they have this luxury, they have a choice. I mean, like, not just pizza and movie, but satsang, pizza, and movie, you know? Like you can go to a satsang teacher and there's plenty to choose from, it's like a program. Who is in town? And I already sat in front of these people. A lot of senior people, you know, like young people as well. And it dawned on me that, like, what can be done in a workshop? Like, I can't even begin, what am I going to do them? What kind of methodology can I bring? Everyone comes from the years of seeking, years of studying, you know, like all of them, they come, they want to hear something which makes you feel better, makes you feel good, confirm maybe some set of understandings. This is, at least was my experience, maybe being steered. And then I asked James, what would be the best thing to do? And he said, I don't know, Igor, you have to decide. You know, and he did this an amazing biography for me. We'll get to the point. He made this biography, it's just really like, whoa, it's really spicy, and, you know. You spoke of the heart when you came to the sun, and you were the first teacher for a long, long time who actually spoke about that, and it reminded him the years with Adida Samraj. He said, why don't you try something like, you know, maybe something connected to that. So I decided to bring this meditation, knowing that it's a very, very risky business. So I brought this meditation in the very first workshop. And we did. The very first workshop was actually also in Rudra Mandir in Berkeley. And it was quite packed room. And people had direct, visceral experience of opening the heart. That's all I can tell you. Years of sitting here in the head, years of understanding, a lot of understanding, you know? And then I come with this meditation and the flower. And of course I had variations, these sets of variations. Maybe not exactly what we did today, but very similar. And it worked. It worked that James, who was there just on the account of being an organizer, who sat on the side, usually like just reading something or sleeping, right? Had completely, his heart went like that, you know? He was all in tears and like, you know? And this is also when Karen came to this work. Because she thought that her life was finished and this is it. You know, she lived in that mild sense of depression, no interest in life. She just thought that this is just like living her last years, and suddenly she had this heart opening right in that workshop. And from there on, I did that, knowing very well that this is not the methodology I would bring to the retreats as bread and butter, but to give people immediate taste of this work. Immediate, you see, so it was like a kind of, you could say, or you could hold me for being don't know what would be the right word, but choosing to hook people would be the right thing or not to say? Like, so that they are really affected, impacted by it. Show interest, because I did not see how else they can be. Because it doesn't matter. You know, when the brain already, when the mind contains so much information, anything you say only adds to that. And in my workshop, there's nothing to understand. So a lot of this kind of collapsed, kind of like structures where there is, you know, there's nothing to hold on to. And in fact, the first half a day was near the sort of like, you know, when are we going to get to something that I can take home with me, you know? Just don't worry. And then finally, in the third meditation, because we had 3 meditations, in the third meditation, in the afternoon, before the end of that workshop, it just, boom, worked. So, you tell me now, with all your experience, why that is, that even people who come from, you know, unprepared or prepared in a way that may be actually a hindrance. You know, some people are prepared and that is a hindrance. And it actually, in fact, in many spheres and areas, that someone's preparedness might actually serve as a hindrance. And then, of course, I left and consciously did not use that form of meditation. Except at another occasion, at one of the workshops at Sand. I did that. But no, I didn't bring it to the retreats. But here I feel fitting, and it fitting in every way. So, there's no real answer to what you're asking, in fact. It's for you to explore it. but it's immediate. That's maybe what I wanted to relate, to convey, that it's immediate. For example, if someone's mind is constantly racing, and you take them into a meditation where they would have to either use, well, any of the objects of meditation-based methodology, any object-based, breath, mantra, right? If the mind is really, really agitated, you know, it will be a struggle. It still will be a meditation, still very, very helpful, very useful, and it depends on person's commitment to that practice. If there is also proper understanding that meditation is not done, right? As we also have found out that it's our natural state and also mind's natural state. But here, no preparedness is required because we're working with the heart. And all what is actually being used here in terms of methodology is applying imagination. Imagination that creates this possibility of having that, of creating that, where that, what in a state of diplopia can come into alignment here. When the image is brought to the area where perception takes place. You see? So this is why what you're speaking is correct. It's a totally different experience, at least in the ensuing phases in the, you know, because then the spontaneity, and I welcomed all of you to just go with the flow, with how it unfolds. But it is a very different, you're absolutely right. So it is for you now to explore this. You see? And tell me and share more. Because I would like to know more about your experiences with that. Because this is also one of those meditations which paradoxically does not have contrast between what we experience in meditation in that absorption, and then we come out. And there's this often a contrast, you see, between that total stillness in meditation and coming out now, and suddenly I need to move, act, respond, right? The full gamut of all these things. You know, sometimes it can be like, you know, what a contrast. In this meditation, you can live like that. And of course, there were very subtle pointers given, very subtle pointers, especially towards the very end, which also gives direct insight why that is. So this meditation has no contrast to anything. It's not in contrast to anything. And this meditation is known in neatly in coveted areas in Tantra, and likewise neatly in the coveted areas of Sufi practices. So later, I've decided to name some of these workshops Seeing Through the Heart. So when we took it further to British Columbia and so forth, we had that Seeing Through the Heart. Because that's what it is.